Hey y'all, it's Jennifer. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am coming to you with some yearly favorites so far, some stuff that's not bookish but that I've really been enjoying lately. I enjoy filming these and I think they're really fun to watch. I love to see what people are into outside of books. And so this has been a pretty packed year so far. And in fact, I really was hard pressed to think of a lot of things, and I told myself if I didn't think of it automatically, I'm not going to put it in this video. But I did think of quite a few shows in particular that I've really been enjoying. But let's go on and just get into my list. I don't think I have any items here, like anything like skincare. I think the favorites that I'm having currently are things that I have used for a very long time. I do love Lana Lips. I should have brought that down. That is something I have been turned on to this year and I am obsessed with. Lana Lips has like an ointment cream thing that can be used basically anywhere, but you can use it on your lips, you can use it on like your elbows or your knees, kind of skin that's a little bit harder, rougher around the edges. And I saw Jaemin from NCT, so a K-pop idol, I saw him on Instagram Live using this months ago. And he was just talking about how he uses it all the time, especially in cold weather, and that it's great like if your face is chapped. And so I automatically ordered some. I'm obsessed with it. We all talk about our skincare routines a lot, but I specifically have more of a lip care routine than I do a skincare routine. And so I have really loved incorporating that into my lip care routine. It's what I do at night. I put it on before I go to sleep at night, and it's so incredibly thick. I haven't yet used it anywhere else. I haven't used it on like my elbows or my knees, but I would be interested to see. I have heard you can use it on your cuticles, which I think is fabulous. So I'm really excited about that. Something else, and I should have brought this down here, I think this is something I am anticipating loving in the second half of the year because I haven't started on this yet, but I have recently gotten some yarn. My goal is to start crocheting a sweater. I really want to get to the point where I could crochet a cardigan. I am not at that point, but what I really want to make is like a hollow out crop top sweater. I think that's the first thing that I'm going to make, even though a crop top is not going to look good on me. But I do think it'll look good layered over stuff, and it seems like that will be a smaller scale project. Really, the reason that I want to do this is I saw another K-pop idol wearing the most gorgeous shirt I've ever seen in my life. And I honestly considered buying it. It's like a designer piece of clothing, and it wasn't as expensive as what I thought it was going to be. And I thought, well, I could probably try to save up and then I could get like a long-lasting piece of clothing that I think is really cool and chic right now, and it would probably last a really long time because it's probably of a higher quality. But then I thought about it and I was like, why buy something? Why not put 50 hours of work time into it and crochet it yourself and give up halfway through? And so that is the option that I went with. The yarn that I got from Hobby Lobby, and it's really soft. I haven't yet started it yet because I have to take like my wingspan, my arm span to get started, but I'm not gonna make that shirt first. I feel like that was going to be a really long, involved process to do like an entire shirt that was really long. So let's just see how it goes. But I feel like that's something I am anticipating liking in the second half of the year. I really wish I was an audiobook person. Every time I want to do a project like this, when I want to cross stitch or something like that, or paint, I always just think I wish I was into audiobooks because that would be kind of doing double duty for me. Why do you need to? Why does a hobby have to be doing double duty for you? It should just be something that's helping you relax. And so that's something I'm really excited about. I really do want to make something that I feel like I can wear. And I think starting with a crop top is going to be the simplest thing because maybe it will be like a shorter item. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I'm really excited about that right now. So I am really looking forward to getting started. Hopefully I can start that today or tomorrow. Let's move into media. And first I want to talk about TikTok. I know what you're thinking. Why are you going to talk about TikTok? But I love TikTok. I don't feel like I spend as much time on there as some people do, thankfully, but I do spend quite a bit of time on TikTok. And in fact, my phone has learned that I live on TikTok during my lunch break. And if I do something different for my lunch break at about 1 o'clock, it'll start like notifying me, like, don't you want to open the TikTok app? Why don't you mind your business? But my TikTok is probably 80% K-pop thirst traps and memes. And then it is 20% sustainable fishing. I don't know what that says about me. I really don't. But I love sustainable fishing content. I am obsessed with it. And so my favorite TikTokers are Jacob Knowles, who is the lobster fisherman, and I'm sure many of you have seen him. I love his content. And my favorite TikToker, period, my favorite TikToker ever is Gray Davis. And Gray lives in Florida, and he will go out and like get everything that he needs for his meal tonight. He will literally spearfish. He gets coconuts for like the drinks or papayas for the drinks. He'll get mango. He's taught me so much about foliage in Florida, and that there's a lot of foliage in Florida that is actually edible, which is beyond me. Like really, really exciting stuff. I would watch hours and hours of him. Honestly, I would. Like, he deserves a Steve Irwin style show, in my opinion. He is so good. So good. And every time he posts, I'm really excited about it. I watch him go live. I literally love his content. It's very refreshing to me. And it's also really calming, relaxing. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but I love him, and he is my favorite TikToker. I love to come down for my day or spend my lunch break watching his stuff. Films are hard for me because I feel like this has actually been a better year for film than last year was. But really, I can only think of one film that I have loved, and that was the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I know we've all said that we loved this, but I have rewatched it since it came on streaming, and it was just as good as it was in the theater. But I went to Dungeons and Dragons, I think back when it came out, and I believe that was the first time I had been in a movie theater in a year, at least. And I just think it's so much fun. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I feel like it really encapsulated everything that I love about fantasy and about fantasy novels specifically. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I've always wanted to. It just seems like it would be something that was really, really involved, and I never knew anybody who was really into it. But now in the internet age, you should be able to find groups with ease, I would think. If you haven't yet watched it, I really encourage you to, because it was just a whole lot of fun, and it really reminded me why I love fantasy so much. I had been wanting to read a book that made me feel the same way as the Dungeons and Dragons movie did, but I haven't yet found anything that really scratches that particular itch. So if I do, I will let you know, but this is easily the best film of the year, in my opinion. I also recently watched John Wick 4. I loved it. What can I say? I am the target audience for the John Wick movies. So at this point, if they make 10 of them and they're all the same, I'll watch them all. I know that people say this is getting tired and tedious, and how many times can we see John Wick beat up people? But honestly, I'll keep watching it. I love the John Wick movies. I'll die on this hill. Now, is the fourth one the best? No. The second one is still the best, in my opinion. But I really liked the fourth one, and I liked it better than the third one. At this point, it's so interesting. Like, it's really hard to talk about John Wick because I think there's so much lore in it, and that's why these movies are good. I think what's interesting is, like, the first movie was so small scale and it was so insular, and it made sense. But then it kind of opened up, and now you know, like, the entire world is composed of basically assassins and spies, and I just absolutely love it. I think the world of John Wick is possibly more interesting than he is as a character, or than the storyline of the overarching films has been. I would really like to see more done in the world, because I think the people we see glimpses of, and like the other assassins, it's just so interesting to me. And I love how global it is now. I feel like the series just moves to different places throughout the world, and it's super cool. So I am still loving the John Wick movies. I'll die on this hill. Let's talk about my favorite shows of the year. When I sat down to just make like a quick list, honestly, automatically, two shows came to mind for me as the best shows of the year so far. And one of them, I feel like I'm cheating a bit because I think it came out towards the very end of last year. And that is Alice in Borderland Season 2. This is a J-drama. It's from Japan. And it's kind of a riff on Alice in Wonderland, but they are all in a world where they are playing games to the death, basically. And I cannot express to you how much I love this show. And honestly, how much better than the first season, the second season was. It's mind-blowing to me. The first episode of the second season was chef's kiss, everything I have ever wanted. I love this show to pieces, but I do think I started it before it became 2023, so I feel like I'm cheating a bit. But this is so interesting. It really feels kind of like a Squid Game, Hunger Games vibe, which I love and I eat up time and time again. But I really loved the characters in this. I loved the world, and there was something very anime about the fighting that I think was really fun. But of course, it made it seem like so unrealistic that actual people could do any of the things that they were shown to be doing in this show. But this show is fantastic to me. It's one of my favorite shows on Netflix, period. I love Alice in Borderland, and it's done. So 2 seasons and it's done, and it was a complete ending. And to me, it was a really satisfying ending. I don't know how most people felt about it, but I loved this show. Loved it. And I love the main character, Arisu, so much. I love him with my whole heart. But this automatically came to mind for me as one of my favorites of the year. But my favorite show of the year is a K-drama. This is going to be so controversial because I feel like people who watch this didn't necessarily take to it the way that I did. But my favorite show of the year is Island, which is a K-drama that is on Amazon Prime. And it is a supernatural K-drama. It's a fantasy K-drama that's like about demons on Jeju Island, and they can't get off the island for some reason. And our main female character is like a key to this, a key to locking them on the island. The main male character, though, is why you should be watching this show. I love him. His name is Van. I think about Van frequently. If you want to know what I love in terms of tropes, in terms of like romantic interests in books or fiction in general, honestly, just watch the show for Van, because Van is everything to me. He is it. And it's so funny, when I started the show and he came on screen, I was like, oh, I don't know that I'm into him. I didn't really think he was that handsome. And as soon as I found out more about him, like episode 2, as soon as they did like a flashback scene, I said, oh no, I'm gonna be down bad. And automatically it changed, and I was like, wow, he's actually the most handsome man that I've ever seen. It's funny how things happen like that. Personality does a lot for you, in my opinion, but I just love him. This was so good. It was so angsty. I loved the fantasy elements. It was easily set up for a second season. Cha Eun-woo is in this, who is also an idol, and he plays a priest in this. He is one of the most beautiful idols. Everyone agrees he has like one of the best faces in K-pop. He is so beautiful, but he's also a really good actor. I loved this show. I hope there's another season of it. It was so interesting. It was so entertaining, and really I'm just weak in the knees for Van. So I'm ready to see more of this. I cried watching this show, honestly. It was just so emotional there at the end. I was so invested in the characters in this. I've had it hit and miss with K-dramas this year, so I thought this was really, really special. And this is easily my favorite show of the year. I adored it. Speaking of K-dramas, though, we have to talk about The Glory, which I think is going to be everyone's objective favorite of the year if you do watch K-dramas. This is a revenge drama about a girl who was bullied, I mean viciously, horrifically bullied in high school. And now she's about 35 or so, and she has planned since high school the revenge that she is going to get on these bullies. And this show is everything you want out of a revenge drama. Truly, everyone gets exactly what they deserve. And I loved our main female character. I really loved this show. You honestly did not know what was going to come next, which I think was its strong suit. And even though it was a revenge drama, it was never very violent. What I just thought was so eye-opening for me anyway was just the violence of the bullying that they suffer in South Korea. And the writers of this show, and I think actually the main actress, have talked about how wide-scale bullying on this level is in South Korea. And it was stunning to me. Truly it was. Because what she went through was actually medieval torture. It wasn't bullying. And in fact, if you ask me, the bullies got off light. They should have gotten worse. But that's just me. Everyone loves this show. The male main character in this is such a sweetheart. He is just an absolute angel, and I love him. And I loved her. I loved the main female character. This is really, really good. Everyone has been talking about this show this year with good reason. It is an absolutely fantastic K-drama. I love a revenge drama. I'll watch any revenge dramas. And if you have any recommendations, leave them down below. My favorite revenge drama other than this one is Vincenzo. Let's talk about another show that I'm going to say is one of my favorites of the year, but it's kind of against my will. I feel like I was held hostage, but that would be Tale of the Nine-Tailed 1938. This is the second season of my favorite K-drama, Tale of the Nine-Tailed. And this is set back in time, and it's set in the 1930s during the Japanese occupation of Korea. It is also a fantasy drama about a nine-tailed fox. The first season of this is absolutely exquisite. It truly is art. I mean, really, and it's romance at its highest form. I believed in love after watching the first season of this show. The second season doesn't have the same main female character in it, and I feel like on the whole, without her, the tone of the show shifted towards almost entirely comedy, and I did not like that really at all. Somehow though, I still watched every episode of it, and I still loved every episode of it because it was about my favorite characters. So I was still really happy with the show. I loved it. I was looking forward to it every week. But when I started to tell myself to think objectively about the characterization, to think objectively about what is going on in the show, if this had been a show on its own, just like a new show to me, I don't know that I would have liked it. But this show has just my favorite characters in it at this point. My favorite characters from any K-drama, and my favorite K-drama actor is in this. So it is still everything to me, but I just feel like it could have been so much better. It is such a tonal disconnect from the first season. I honestly was really curious about it, and I wondered why the main actress from the first season didn't come back. And I honestly wonder if she read the script for this and she was like, no, this is nonsensical for me. But I just was really baffled by the change in tone here, but I still loved it. I just love the characters so much. I loved the characters so much, and I loved the new characters. I loved one guy specifically, and me and my mom were watching this together because she also loves Tale of the Nine-Tailed, and I was like, oh, I really like him, and she said, I think he's kind of a wuss. And I said, well, I guess I like that. She said, yeah, you do. So there's my type, if you want to know. I love, like, just a soft man. Men are a bit more attractive to me if they are a little bit pathetic, sadly enough. And so I really liked basically every male character in this show because they all had kind of an edge to them that I really liked, a little bit of a sappy edge. This show is still decent. Like if you watched the first season and you loved it, you're still gonna love this because Leon is in it, but you're not gonna have, I feel, like the same emotional impact in scenes. Like scenes were objectively sad, scenes were objectively emotional, and in the first season, I would have been emotional too. In the second season, I felt nothing. I mean, I felt nothing. Even between the relationship between like the brothers, the main two characters, which was, I think, just the crescendo of the first season of the show, it didn't really have me in this second season. When I'm thinking objectively, I could really critique this show, but not thinking objectively, I just loved it because I love Leon and Lee Rang so much. I really do. But it wasn't Island. I still feel like if I'm comparing anything to Island, Island is one of the best. Other than that, I think my other favorite show of the year is White Lotus Season 2. What is this show about? Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't care because the second season of this show is set at a resort in Taormina, Sicily. And I am going to say Taormina, Sicily must be the most beautiful place on earth. When I was watching this show, I was depressed. I just ached. I was in almost physical pain watching every single episode of the show. When I turned it off at night, I was depressed. I mean, truly, I was depressed because I knew that is a place that exists. Essentially, White Lotus is set at a different resort every season that is in like the White Lotus line. It is rich people problems. Sometimes someone dies, but it's not really like a big murder investigation or a mystery show like you might think. It is basically just about rich people dealing with their own problems and drama all the time. And I personally really like that genre. And I really liked this just exclusively for where it was set. I did not care what was going on the show. Aubrey Plaza was in it, so it was really great. But really, I was watching this show episode to episode because I needed to see Taormina, Sicily. And in fact, I thought about rewatching it just because I wanted to see the scenery again. I don't know if that's the best endorsement of the White Lotus Season 2, but still, if you've been debating it, just watch it for the scenery. In terms of music, I don't really think I have been listening to a lot of new release music, like music that has truly come out in the first 6 months of the year. I have mostly been listening to K-pop, but I have not liked basically any new release in K-pop this year, other than I think a couple of albums. Like, I loved Monsta X's release at the beginning of the year. I loved TXT's, and I loved NCT DoJaeJung. That is my favorite album of the year. That's really the only music I have to talk about here that's new to me. I love, love, love them. But everything else has been kind of a disappointment to me. Like, in the past couple of weeks, a group I used to follow had a comeback, and the main song released, the music video dropped, and I was like, I couldn't even get through it. Like, the first 30 seconds, I thought, okay, this song is gonna be good. And then it hit the chorus, and I said, nope. And I turned it off. I was like, that is just noise, straight up noise. I was telling that to a friend of mine, and he said, Jennifer, you unironically listened to Sticker by NCT. If you've never heard Sticker by NCT, don't start there. If you have never listened to NCT 127 before, please don't. But the song is objectively just noise being thrown at you, but there's something about it, okay? There's something about it. I will defend that song. I'll die on that hill. The song's good, but maybe these other songs are good too. I just haven't gaslit myself into loving them yet. But I feel like I've had that critique of a lot of groups' comebacks this year, is that it's just been noisy to me. There's been too much going on, or it's been too rap heavy. And I am really pinning all my hopes and dreams on my boys EXO, who are coming back next Monday, July 10th. Thank goodness. So I am pinning all my hopes and dreams on them to save music for me this year. Otherwise, I have been looking on my Receiptify so that I can actually tell you some real stats. My most listened to song for the first 6 months of this year is Domino by Wavy. This is one of their B-sides. Wavy is technically C-pop, like Chinese pop, but they are a unit of NCT. When you look at Receiptify, if you don't have this, it will like analyze wherever you listen to music, and it will tell you your most listened to songs for the past month, for the past 6 months, for the past year, I think, and for all time. But it will also tell you your most listened to artists. And my most listened to artists are NCT 127, Wavy, NCT Dream, NCT U, The Boys, and EXO, I think. So NCT U is basically anyone from NCT that they can get at any given time. It's when all of NCT gets together, but they mostly operate under these different units, these different groups. And so Wavy, I think, has my most listened to song of the year so far. And then NCT DoJaeJung, which is their newest unit, and it is composed of, I'm gonna say, my bias line. So I am really, really thrilled for them. If you want to get into K-pop, watch the Perfume music video, and I think it will convert you. I have noticed that I really like a certain sound in K-pop and a certain look or vibe in a music video. And Perfume has that for me. It really scratches that itch. It's got the similar vibe to like Love Shot by EXO, because there's all these flowers, there's a bunch of like beautiful cars and like flowers spilling out of the trunk of a car. Everyone's wearing these gorgeous outfits. It's very serene, it's very springtimey. This was my most listened to song of the spring, I think, according to YouTube. I love this song and I love this album. So basically, in terms of music, I have been listening to NCT, every single unit, all the time. At this point, I probably bleed neon green, but it's mostly their older music. I don't even think there's been anything that's come out this year that I've been that intrigued by with them other than NCT DoJaeJung. They have really saved the music industry for me. But otherwise, I feel like I have been listening to a lot of retro stuff for me, which is really exciting. I think I have been listening to a lot of hair metal lately. And also I have been listening to songs that used to be on my writing playlists, which are just kind of like atmospheric and have no words in them. So just instrumentals. And I think that's really relaxing. A lot of times I'm listening to music before I go to bed. And so I don't want it to be like, oh, guns blazing. I want it to be kind of chill. And I think instrumental really works well for me there. So my big discovery of the year, the group that I have been listening to the most, is definitely NCT. I really love their content. I think the reason that I like their music, honestly, is that I like them as people. And I feel like I came in from watching them on like a variety show rather than really listening to their music. The first song of theirs somebody showed me was Sticker, like I just told you, something I warned y'all off of. Please do not listen to that song as your first NCT song. But that was my intro to them, and I said literally, why is this called music? Now Sticker is one of my most listened to songs in the first 6 months of the year. So I think there was Domino by Wavy, Sticker, Perfume, and I think weirdly enough, like maybe some other weird B-sides from NCT, Vitamin, which is my favorite NCT song, and Universe, which is one of my favorite NCT songs. It's mostly NCT that I have been listening to. But I have been loving a lot in the first 6 months of the year. I feel like I really had to narrow it down in terms of television shows. I've been watching a lot of shows this year, and a lot of them have been good. I feel like last year was just a little bit dry for me, so I've really been enjoying television this year. But apparently I need to be watching more films. But I think that's gonna look up because Mission Impossible is coming out next weekend. That will save it for me, I know. I would love to know down below what your favorite things have been so far this year. What are you looking forward to in the second half of the year? But that's going to be all for me today. I hope you're all having a great week. Happy reading. Goodbye.